They were in the same room, same bed, same four walls, and they had never felt more alone in their lives. They were in the same room, same bed, same four walls, and they had never felt more alone in their lives. Marcus and Lena had been together for 4 years. 4 years of Sunday mornings with coffee and tangled blankets. 4 years of inside jokes nobody else understood. 4 years of building something that felt, at least from the outside, like the kind of love people write songs about. But love doesn't fall apart in 4 years. It falls apart in one night. This is the story of a single evening, a Wednesday, nothing special about it, that became the quiet earthquake neither of them saw coming. No screaming, no dramatic confessions. No one threw anything or walked out into the rain. Just silence. Heavy, suffocating, deliberate silence. And sometimes, that's the loudest thing two people can do to each other. It started the way most relationship wounds do, small. Lena had had a terrible day at work. The kind of day where everything goes wrong before 10 a.m., and by the time you're driving home, your chest feels like someone's been sitting on it for hours. She'd been passed over for a project she'd worked on for 3 months. Her manager had barely looked at her when he delivered the news. She sat in her car in the parking garage for 11 minutes before she could make herself drive. When she got home, Marcus was on the couch, laptop open, headphones on one ear. He looked up, gave her a small smile, the automatic kind, and looked back down. She put her bag down. She went to the kitchen. She stood at the counter for a moment, waiting. For what, exactly? She couldn't have told you. Maybe just for him to notice that she was carrying something heavy. Maybe for him to ask how her day was. Maybe just for him to look at her, really look, and see that she wasn't okay. But he didn't. So she made herself tea she didn't really want, and she sat in the armchair across the room, and she opened her phone, and she stared at nothing. Marcus, for his part, had no idea anything was wrong. He was finishing a deadline, stressed in his own quiet way. He'd noticed she seemed a little flat when she came in, but Lena sometimes needed space to decompress after work. He'd learned that early on. Give her room. Don't pepper her with questions. Let her come to you. He thought he was doing the right thing. She thought he didn't care. And neither of them said a single word about any of it. Dinner happened in a kind of polite fog. Marcus cooked. Pasta, something simple. And Lena set the table, and they sat across from each other and talked about nothing. The neighbor's dog. Something they'd seen on the news. Whether they needed more dish soap. Normal things. Safe things. And Lena kept waiting for a door to open. For him to say, "Hey, you seem quiet tonight. You okay?" And it never came. So she shut hers. By 9 p.m., something had shifted. It was invisible to anyone who might have been watching. But in the room, between them, it was as obvious as a wall going up brick by brick. Lena's answers got shorter. Marcus started sensing something was off. But now, instead of asking, he felt something defensively tighten in his chest. Why does she get like this? What did I do? And there it was. The misunderstanding doubling itself. She was hurting and waiting to be seen. He was confused and starting to feel accused of something he didn't understand. Both of them completely convinced that the other one was choosing distance. Neither one of them willing to be the first to cross it. By 10 p.m., they were in bed. The lamp on Marcus's side was still on. He was reading, or pretending to. His eyes moved across the same paragraph 4 times. Lena was on her side, facing the wall. Eyes open. She wasn't sleeping. He knew she wasn't sleeping. She knew he knew. And still, nothing. Marcus put his book down. He looked at the ceiling. He thought about saying something. "Lena, talk to me." But something stopped him. Maybe pride. Maybe fear of starting a fight he didn't know the shape of. Maybe just the exhaustion of not knowing what he'd done wrong. So instead, he turned off the lamp. And in that darkness, in that small, ordinary act, Lena felt something crack open in her chest. He said. A long pause. "Yeah," she said quietly, "because I wanted you to already know." Neither of them said anything for a while after that. The rain outside had slowed. The city hummed its low, indifferent hum. But the wall, that invisible, terrible wall, was gone. Not because they'd had a grand conversation, not because everything was resolved or explained or perfectly understood, but because one of them had gotten off the bed and sat on the floor and said, "I don't know what I missed, but I know I missed it," and that was enough to begin. Here is what Marcus and Lena's story is really about. It's not about a fight, because they never really fought that night. It's about the dangerous comfort of silence, the way two people who love each other can be so afraid of saying the wrong thing that they end up saying nothing at all, and how nothing, stretched across an entire evening, can feel like everything. Lena needed to be seen. That was real, and that was valid, but she never said it. She waited. She tested. Maybe without even meaning to. And when he failed a test he didn't know he was taking, she interpreted it as proof that he didn't care. Marcus thought he was being respectful, giving her space, not crowding her. That was real, and that was valid too. But he assumed. He guessed at what she needed instead of asking. And the space between what each of them assumed became the place where the silence lived. The lesson isn't complicated, but it's hard. When you're hurting, say so. Not perfectly, not with the right words. Just say, "I'm not okay tonight, and I need you close." That's enough. That's everything, actually. And when you can feel that someone is carrying something, don't guess from a distance. Don't assume space is what they need. Move toward them. Sit on the metaphorical floor. Say, "I don't know what's wrong, but I want to." Love is not a mind-reading competition. It's two people choosing, over and over again, to keep the door open. Even when it's late. Even when you're tired. Even when you don't fully understand what you did or what you need. Just keep the door open. One conversation, even an imperfect, whispered one at 2 a.m. on the couch, is worth 1,000 nights of silence. Marcus and Lena are still together. They still have bad days that spill into their evenings. They still sometimes miss each other's signals. But now they have a practice, a small, essential practice. When one of them goes quiet, the other one asks, not from across the room, up close. If this story stayed with you, if some part of it felt a little too familiar, you're not alone. Most of us have been in that room, on one side of that silence or the other. That's why this channel exists. If you want more stories about the quiet, complicated, deeply human things that happen between people who love each other, subscribe to Between Us. New stories come out every week, and every one of them is for people who are trying, really trying, to love better. We'll see you in the next one.